The Renaissance period in English literature is also called the Elizabethan period or the Age of Shakespeare. The Middle Ages in Europe were followed by Renaissance. The Renaissance period was started in 1500 and was ended in 1600. Renaissance means rebirth. From about 1500 to 1600, the world was reborn in many ways. The Renaissance began in Italy, especially in art and architecture in the 15th century. As England became the most powerful nation in Europe in the last 16th century, new words were discovered and new ways of seeing and thinking developed. It promoted revival of learning and it denoted in its broadest sense the gradual enlightenment of the human mind after the darkness of Middle Ages with the fall of Constantinople in 1553 AD by the invasion of the Turks and the Greek scholars who were residing there spread all over Europe and brought with them invaluable Greek manuscripts. The discovery of these classical models resulted in the revival of learning in the 14th and 15th centuries. The essence of the movement that was man discovered himself and universe. And the man, so long blinded, had suddenly opened his eyes and seen the flood of Greek literature which the new art of printing carried swiftly to every school in Europe, revealed a new world of poetry and philosophy. Along with the revival of learning, new discoveries took place in several other fields. Vasco da Gama circumnavigated the earth. Columbus discovered America. Copernicus discovered the solar system and prepared the way for Galileo. Books were printed, and philosophy, science, and art were systematized. The Middle Ages were past and the Old World had become new. Scholars flocked to the universities as adventurers to the new world of America, and the old authorities received a death blow. Truth only was authority to search for truth everywhere as men sought for new lands and gold and the fountain of youth. That was the new spirit which awoke in the Europe with the revival of learning. In England, there was an important change in religion and politics when King Henry VIII made himself the head of Church of England, bringing church and state together. He cut all contact with the Catholic Church and the Pope in Rome, part of a reaction against the Catholic Church in many parts of Europe. Protestantism became more and more important and gave a whole new vision of man's relation with God. The king or queen became the human being on earth who was closest to God at the head of the great chain of being, which led down to the rest of mankind, animals, and insects, and so on. The chief characteristics of Renaissance was its emphasis on humanism, which means man's concern with himself as an object of contemplation. This movement was started in Italy by Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio in the 14th century, and from there it spread to other countries of Europe. In England, it became more popular during the Elizabethan period. This movement, which focused the interest on the proper study of mankind, had a number of subordinate trends. The first in importance was the rediscovery of classical antiquity and particularly of ancient Greece. During the medieval period, the tradition bound Europe had forgotten the liberal tone of old Greek world and its spirit of democracy and human dignity. With the revival of interest in Greek classical antiquity, the new spirit of humanism had made its impact on the Western world. The first Englishman who wrote under the influence of Greek studies was Sir Thomas More. His Utopia, written in Latin, was suggested by Plato's Republic. Sir Philip Sidney, in his defense of poesy, accepted and advocated the critical roles of the ancient Greeks. The second important aspect of humanism was the discovery of the external universe and its significance for man. But more important than this was that the writers directed their gaze inward and became deeply interested in the problems of human personality. In the medieval morality plays, the characters are mostly personifications, friendship, charity, sloth, wickedness, and lie. But now, during the Elizabethan period, under the influence of humanism, the emphasis was laid on the qualities which distinguish uniqueness. Moreover, the revealing of the writer's own mind became full of interest, and this tendency led to the rise of a new literary form, the essay, which was used successfully by Bacon. In drama, Marlowe probed down into the deep recesses of the human passion. His heroes, Tamburlaine, Dr. Faustus, and Barabbas, the Jew of Malta, are possessed of uncontrolled ambitions. Shakespeare, a more consummate artist, carried humanism to perfection. His genius, fed by the spirit of Renaissance, enabled him to see life whole and to present it in all its aspects. It was the new interest in human personality, the passion for life, which was responsible for the exquisite lyrical poetry of the Elizabethan age, dealing with the problems of death, decay, transitoriness of life, etc. Another aspect of humanism was the enhanced sensitiveness to formal beauty and the cultivation of aesthetic sense. It showed itself in a new